All right, Unity, GONet, people of the world, welcome, welcome, welcome. We needed to get this public service announcement out there in the world so that people who get GONet for the first time are all squared away. We had a little bit of a snafu, if you will, when we went to upload GONet to the Unity Asset Store for the first time. There were some unexpected things. The uploading process does not include the streaming assets. And streaming assets is actually an important part of what GONet needs to function. So I want to get you squared away on how to deal with that. I'm going to show you exactly what it is, try to get through this quickly. So let's open up the project that we had already gone and got ready last time, the Rollerball Unity GONet multiplayer tutorial. So what we're going to walk through here is, let's say that you already got it all set up, you tested it, and you didn't have the streaming assets like I did in the first tutorial video because they required me to do something different with it. And what that difference is now you'll see there's a GONet StreamingAssets file that's directly under the Assets GONet folder. And there's some instructions that we mention in the YouTube video text that you may not have noticed that end up referencing this importing GONet. So it's unitygo.net/importing-GONet. There is an instruction set right here that's right after you import that you'll need to account for this unzipping of the asset zip file, the streaming asset zip that we gave. And it tells you that you should overwrite everything. Let's say it says unzip, replace all files that may already be present, right? And this is the thing that I want to talk about, because doing this process, depending on if you do it at the point in time when we instructed you to do so, versus accidentally not realizing these instructions existed and then coming back later to do it when it may be a little too late, and then replacing all files will do something a little bit weird. So let's talk about that, what that little bit weird is. So something I did not point out previously is the Streaming Assets GONet folder, because it wasn't really important to get into that level of detail, but now it is. Design time locations, that's a text file that GONet produces on its own. And it needs to have this information about where GONet participants reside. So you'll see some, we've got our own little kind of URL, URI structure here, and it points to certain folders in the project, if it's proceeded with the project, and then the scene name, and then the place in that scene's hierarchy where that GONet participant resides if it has a scene prefix. So the one that I want to point out here is this guy. This is particular and only included as part of the completed game Rollerball game that we downloaded in that first tutorial. And it points to assets completed game resources, which that resource folder is what we created together. And we created the player prefab from taking out of the scene and dragging it up in there. So we'll just take a look at that. That's what we're talking about, is this player right here. As you recall, we added GONet participant. Now, I'm going to point out something that happened automatically. This design time location is this guy right here. We just saw that that happened to be the exact same value that was over here in design time locations.txt in the streaming assets GONet folder. And that's what allows some of the runtime stuff to happen that deals with instantiating GONet participants across the network. So let's say that we've got everything set up and we had not executed this. These three things right here would not be present. Log config, start client, and start server. Those are the batch files. Well, let's see where that is. Okay, assets, streaming assets, GONet. The two batch files that we mentioned, and then that log for net, the GONet log configuration file. those won't be there. Design time locations will, because GONet is going to automatically create it for you if it was not present. But let's say that you go back and you ran through the test and you're like, oh, well, now it's time to run the server and the client. Oh, I don't have these two files. I need to go and unzip GONet StreamingAssets. So what you could do right from here is just double click that if you're on Windows. Now, I don't know the case for other platforms, and again, I apologize for that. So it'll open the file for you to see what's inside the zip file. I'm going to extract it. And the place that we instruct to extract it is the assets folder. And I'll just show you that real quick. It says to unzip this. Whatever, there's the instructions. But I know that it needs to go into the assets because you can see the folder directly under there is streaming assets. So we would go, okay, if you follow the instructions that I provided, you would say, do you want to replace it? Yes to all. That's what I said you were supposed to do. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And what I want to show you is immediately what happens. Well, you can't see here because it doesn't update automatically, but this one does. This is Notepad++, and I had it open in here, and what Notepad++ does that Notepad does not is it recognizes that there has been a change on the file system to this file, and I want you to watch. We've got 5 lines. The first line is player. I'm going to say yes, go ahead and reload it. Okay, well, now I've only got 3 lines, and player is not included. So now what that means is Unity GONet does not realize that player is actually a real thing. Although it still has the same design time location here, the design time location.txt file has now been kind of had its memory erased and it doesn't know. So if I were to just simply hit play here, it will appear as though everything is correct. I will go down to the game window, focus on it, Alt-S, and you know, just like last time, we have the server that spawns, and now I can Alt-P, I get the player, and like I said, everything seems great, because the problem with design time locations being messed up only comes into play once you start getting a client and a server situation and you're instantiating GONet participants across the web. So it appeared that everything was fine, when in fact, if I go do a build, yes, and go to, let's call it rollerball build. Let's say we go ahead and start the server. Like last time, there we go. There's the server. And I think like last time, we just said Alt-P. I had my little guy. Everything still seems fine. I came over here, and then we just kind of hovered out for a second, and then we started the client. Now, the immediate thing that we should notice is that the client is not going to see the server's ball. Exactly right. So you're like, okay, this doesn't match the tutorial. So what I would do there is I'd like to go point out exactly, just as a refresher real quick, the design time location does not include the player, and that's the problem. So the simple fix is you come in here, you select it, and then you re-import. That re-import process just lets GONet go figure it out and save that to this file. Now you can see it's been changed again. We say yes. Now project resources player prefab exists. That's exactly what we needed it to do. However, we're going to have to build one more time. Now, what we're going to do is the same exact thing. Boom, boom. All right, come on, buddy. Alt-P, spawn the dude. Go hang out over here for a second. Spawn the client. Bang, and we should see immediately that we have fixed the problem. Bam. All right, so now he's good to go. This is exactly like it was before. I'll come over here and Alt-P that, and you can see, or let me go over here because the server camera is off there. So we see that we've addressed the issue. All we had to do was come inside here. If we messed up unzipping this, and we unzipped it later, and then we replaced this with one that didn't have the player in it, we come over here, we re-import, we get the updated here, it's got the player, everything's great. And this should only be a one-time thing that happens to people. Thank you for listening. My apologies. GONet is going to solve a lot of problems. This is just one little hiccup. We'll figure this thing out as we upload more and more. We're going to appreciate the community feedback. Go and do great things. Add some multiplayer capabilities with GONet to your Unity project,